Greetings, sending you all some warm, positive vibrations. This is Body Culinary, and I'm coming in with a little bit of a lock update. And I wanted to know if any of you have been paying attention to uh, your food supply in your area, and have you started your garden yet? Have you started a garden? Remember, you're supposed to have planted by now at least two things, whatever the size of your living space, whether that's an apartment, whether you have a windowsill, whether you have a community garden, at least two plants. Something, at least one herb, some kind of herb, and something at least beautiful to look at. For example, like a pothos, which is very easy to split and to propagate and to get more plants from. So let me know if you've started your garden, what you've started planting. Reminder, we're meeting every morning at 5 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for the 5 a.m. workout. That's 5 a.m. consistently on time every day. And Friday is a community class that is a sliding scale, so I don't turn any women or girls away. Whatever you can donate or still come with positive energy. You'll need to download the Discord app. That is a private platform so we can maintain safety, have a matching email and avatar so we can see who you are. All right, so if you're new to this channel, welcome. I'm Body Culinary, professional chef, personal trainer, natural born woman. And on this channel, I love to share some of my journey of radical self-acceptance. What does that look like? Celebrating and being creative with the features that have been divinely assigned to me, put simply. And I also love to share and encourage 3 leveraged lifestyle practices, which are peaceful consumption, food that loves you back. That's also garden therapy, so many benefits, as well as cultivating or reactivating a personal movement practice. Why? Because these are lifestyle practices that are leveraged and give you back so much more for the valuable investment of your time and energy. You can easily lose hours in TV, just an upgrade on TV, right? So it can really benefit us to carefully curate these little trance hypnotic boxes because they're hypnotic. I'm not immune. I just make the effort to stay very, very aware. And before I turn on these boxes, really curate and work with my time. So if you're interested in anything here, anything having to do with the garden, fruits and vegetables, movement, the natural lifestyle, tune into this channel. So today, I was running some errands and someone commented that, there's no flour in the market. I'm like, no flour? He's like, yeah. And I'm thinking like, then it occurred to me, well, how long has there not been any flour? For 2 weeks, 2 weeks, no flour. I was like, wow, interesting. Now I give thanks. I don't eat flour anymore. Used to be a junk food junkie. And I wonder if people consider, depending on whatever your location is, shout out, roll call, let me know what part of the world you are hailing at. Folks may not think in the cities of where your food is coming from, right? Warmer climates have a longer growing season. So you may want to check, my fellow farmers or those that are endeavoring to grow food. You can look online to see what your growing zone is. And what does that mean for my folks that want to garden and grow some food? Well, you can find out when is going to be the last frost, right? That last cold spell. So that perhaps if you're starting your seeds indoors, you'll know when it's time to move them outside without fear of another frost coming and killing all of your plants and all of your hard work and losing all that money for organic seeds. So you'll check, you can go online to check to see what the zone is in your state and in your city. So if you're in a warmer climate, you'll likely have a much longer growing season, right? If you don't have winter, you may trade off winter for some rain. So in any event, I don't like to lend my ear too much to conspiracy theories, though I do keep my ear to the ground and I am an observer of patterns. So I thought it was really interesting that this gentleman was sharing with me today that flour is a staple part of the diet, right? There's a lot of corn and basically flour, wheat flour tortillas, mostly white flour. Some people do wheat flour. And tortillas are eaten several times a day. And so I thought it was interesting if that's missing and they're rationing out flour, and the environment that I'm in currently has pretty much an all year round growing season. What does that mean? What is the trickle down effect uh, as tropical food, right? My ancestry had tropical foods. Is my food profile, my flavor profile, right? Tropical foods. And a lot of folks eat a lot of flour for breads, pastries, but also tortillas with a lot of beans. So sometimes I wonder, with all of the entertainment and all of the celebrity hoo-ha that is so exciting, and offers pleasant distraction, I wonder if folks really pay attention to patterns, not just the fear tactics, but pay attention to the weather patterns, pay attention uh, to food, where your food is being sourced from. And I know years ago when I first joined the food co-op, I thought it wasn't a big deal. I was like, who cares? I didn't even know what organic was. When I first had my son, I knew I wanted to feed my son healthy, and someone recommended a food co-op in a whole nother borough that I had to travel to get to. And so when I came into an orientation meeting, all my vanilla counterparts were talking about organic, and I was like, "What is that? Who cares? Just give me the cheap food. Just let me get this on so I can join and get some cheap food." And fortunately, shout out to the Park Slope Food Co-op. Joining that food co-op gave me the opportunity to sample a lot of organic produce that was usually right alongside the conventional produce. And the co op labeled where all the different food was coming from, how many miles away the farm was, if it was conventional, organic, the name of the farmers. I mean, really, really transparent about where you're getting your food. And being that a lot of the food didn't have packaging on it, that helped to keep the price down. And that allowed me the opportunity to say, let me taste these ugly looking carrots, these ugly looking bananas. And lo and behold, they tasted so delicious. I was like, wow, these ugly carrots taste better than the pretty carrots without the spots on them. So that was my introduction to organic food. And I also, as an observer of patterns, I noticed that when foods were more in season, for example, the most delicious broccoli, some of the most delicious broccoli I've ever tasted, it didn't have the same rubber bands on it, and I could see the farm that was coming from, and it usually comes the same time every year. I have never tasted broccoli so flavorful. So it wouldn't come packaged or bound up the same way as the produce inside of the supermarket. And so let's say the organic carrots weren't in the bag. So if I wanted to, and in season, sometimes the price would be a few pennies less or the same price. So I was like, why not try and taste test? I love to taste test and compare. And I found pretty much consistently a lot of the organic fruit and produce did not look as pretty, but it was much more flavorful. And I also noticed that it was a lot of times the size of the fruit was smaller. And the colors were different, the texture was different. I could start to pick up on the waxy coating sometimes that might be put on cucumbers, on apples. And then I also know the food co-op was very transparent about anything that had been treated on the fruits and vegetables. So it made me much more conscientious of price per pound, the farmers. I've worked all the different places you can work in the food co-op, in the office, in the the freezer, packing and unloading the produce, putting things out on the shelf, working in childcare. I love the food co-op. One of the best working experiments in America, I think, right? Good food at good prices, right? Healthy food, and almost like shopping at Whole Foods with a 20 to 40% markup for years. You can't beat that. So anyway, it made me that experience of being a co-op member has made me much more conscientious of where my food is coming from, and I can see the farms where it's coming from. I see the trucks coming in, working in the office, you know. Now, with this flour, for this gentleman to say that flour, which is a heavy staple here, that flour is not available locally, I'm like, wow. First of all, it made me very grateful that I no longer eat flour, and I have other alternatives for what to eat that is pretty sustainable and simple. And I can eat dishes that I can flip every which way to Sunday, and they're easy for me to prepare, and they're within my spending plan, right? And it's very, very flexible. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful that I'm able to, I feel like I can indulge and I feel confident that whatever environment that I'm in, I can eat very healthy food without a recipe based on whatever is available at the market. Between what's in the market and what's in my little garden, I can eat well. And I actually have enough greens to sustain me every day. That to me is like a little, that's a little miracle. So I mean, sometimes I wonder, I was like, wow, where are priorities? And not so much to shame or to judge myself or others, but I just wonder, like, sometimes it's like we're so distracted. I wonder if we're paying attention, to our food source. What sustains us. Um, in the same vein, I think it was 2 days ago online on YouTube, a commercial came up, and it was about some company called so and so Insta so and so cart. And so it appears this company shops for people, and now they're more food shopping and meal delivery and food shopping delivery services, right? And so I just thought it was interesting because I don't prefer commercials. The whole ad for this so and so cart shopping was that, oh, I can't wait to get home after a busy day of work. And then they show a little graphic with a wine bottle and snacks and, whatever fast food. And I was like, wow. I was just thinking, like, the whole messaging was, I have a long day and I'm going to eat snacks. And it just made me think this is the trajectory for many of us. The hours that we're working, we're so exhausted that sometimes we feel mentally depleted and don't feel inspired to make our food for ourselves. So we want something that's going to be the quickest, that's going to give us that instant dopamine hit, right? Really just to soothe ourselves and emote or manage or cope with emotions with substances masquerading as food, a party in your mouth, but not necessarily with a lot of nutrition to the cells and to the immune system. So, although flour is not a staple in my house, I'm just giving thanks for a really simple gourmet way of living. So let me know, if you were dropped into a garden with whole grains, or if you had like a plethora of seeds, do you feel like you could confidently prepare delicious food for yourself, for 2 or 3 meals daily based on with what you even have in your garden? Could you subsist and sustain yourself with what you have in your garden, or from maybe your community garden and your friends that garden? Let me know in the comments. So that's flour. That's the flour. Also, I have a lot of flowers coming up. The last 2 weeks, a little mulberry tree is finally giving us some mulberries. And today, my sister and I were walking in the garden, and from trees that we planted, a little miracle, there are at least, there may be almost 20 soursop that are coming up on these trees that we planted. It's such a miracle. So we've eaten like 2.5 of the soursop. It may not be a big deal to most people, but as someone that was raised a city girl, to walk in the garden and smell soursop and know that there's soursop that's being cooked by the sun, that's going to ripen and fall off the tree that we can eat. When I just saw a soursop the other day for $30 for a piece of it, it's a little miracle. I can't emphasize enough, encourage you all to grow something. And we were also picking the South African Cape gooseberries. Let me know if you'd like to see them. Perhaps I'll share some inside the community section. But they were really good seeds, and we've planted them throughout the garden. And they're not overly sweet. They're very flavorful. They're quite delicious. They look like a little golden plum, and the skin looks almost like a tomatillo. It's almost like a paper lantern that the skin comes in. First, it's green. The skin, it looks almost like a tomato, or a yellowy tomato, very, very small. It's called a Cape gooseberry or South African gooseberry. And it's a pleasant It's a pleasant sweet. It's very, very flavorful, but not overly sweet. And so now we've got these berries growing all throughout the garden. And so it feels nice. Now, while it's not an apple or a whole pineapple, it's nice to have something, a sweet treat that I can just pick out of the garden and just eat it. And I have them, I've reseeded them all throughout the garden. So yeah, I don't know, I find it very exciting. Now, a lock update. So I was just noticing I have a little length. I've been slowly trimming these. I haven't trimmed it again the last 2 weeks, but I'm sure I'll trim it again. And I believe this is week 8. So I just had a hat on and a scarf. And I decided to let 2 of the locks combine. So this is week 8. I can still get my finger through it a little bit. I'm sure I can still pull it apart, but it's starting to really lock. So I have not twisted it. Initially, when I started, I put a very loose cloth covered elastic, cloth covered, very loosely around it just to hold together, and just washed it as usual, just looking to see how long it would take for it to lock. So it's pretty much there. All of them are flat. And it's really nice. Somebody was asking me something. Shout out to Nonconformist Eyewear, her lock channel. She was asking me about locks and counting. And I realized the other day, it doesn't occur to me to count my locks, and I only know how many of them there are because I don't have a lot of them. My hair is actually very fine, though it looks full from embracing the Afro. So I believe this is week number 8. And I would say these are locked. I would say it still needs to go maybe another couple of weeks. So I have that nice wide flat lock. So this is puffy at the root, but it will flatten out. There's no oil and there's no twisting. And I think it's official. I have a little bit of length now in spite of cuts and trims. It feels good. There's no itching. Yeah, so that's the lock update. It does grow away from the scalp, but I don't feel overly concerned about hair. And it's again, this for me is like freedom hair. It's I really think that we deserve to feel free and comfortable and at home in our own hair and skin. This is an option. This is a viable option. I think it's the original option. I think some of us may feel very anxious or worried about what would happen if we follow the rabbit hole of our own hair, which is interesting. I don't think interesting is the word, but to feel comfortable, like, well, what's my hair gonna look like? You know, somebody's asked me before about fixing flat locks, and I'm not I get it though. I'm not trying to fix my locks. I'm embracing what the hair does naturally, because especially before this though, especially in the time that we're in, that's a lot of unnecessary anxiety and stress. And I think that all the anxiety and stress that I can let go and release, I think benefits my immune system and my well-being and a healthy esteem. So fruits and vegetables, daily movement, 5 a.m., not twisting, and that's it. No buildup. This is the color. If we would look closely, our hair doesn't have a sheen, but it just looks different. It doesn't behave like other of our counterparts here, and that's okay. It's a wonderful thing to be able to embrace and feel comfortable in your own hair and skin. I can say that especially as someone that's had truckloads of acne. I'm not anti-makeup, though my priority is health and confidence over a made-up moving goalpost of beauty. It's really important to me to be able to feel comfortable in my own hair and skin. So let me know, how is your hair journey going? And is it carefree? How long does it take you to care for your hair? Or your routine? Can you just go like this, a messy ponytail, and get out the door and jump into your exercise and sweat it out and it evaporates with no smell? It's so freeing. So I love freedom hair. Let me know what you're up to in the garden. Wanted to check in with you all. You can find me also at Body-Culinary on Instagram, TikTok, and a touch of Facebook. Y'all create a great rest of the evening. Rest well, and I will see you soon.